The Norwegian coast and Baltic Sea is a popular choice for ocean cruisers, so we put this video together when Kim Tagan from our office and her husband did this itinerary. I'm Bob Bradley from the Pampered Cruiser, and if you'd like to book a cruise to Norway or really any other river, small ship, ocean, or expedition cruise, then we'd love to help you out. We know the products and the destinations very well, and we can always get you additional amenities that are not available on direct bookings. Also, click the link below to sign up for our free weekly newsletter that features travel tips, informative articles, and exclusive offers delivered straight to your email box every Friday. Contrary to media reports, the Norway fjords are not closing. The Norwegian government wants to restrict large cruise ships with higher emissions, but they've adjusted their implementation date to 2032 to give the cruise vendors time to make the necessary adjustments. In this wide-ranging conversation with Kim about her experience in Norway, we discuss her pre-cruise adventures in Bergen and Oslo, as well as her journey on the Flam Railway. She also provides a description of each port of call and what she did while she was there. We'll also chat about transfers from the airports in Norway, how to pay for things, the tipping culture, what you should pack, and lots of other little tidbits. So Kim Tagan just back, maybe not quite just back, from the Norwegian coast. You did a trip up there. I was hoping to get the inside scoop on what's happening in Norway.
Absolutely. I'm excited to talk to you about it because it was an amazing trip.
So despite the background behind you, you weren't actually there during the winter months for the Northern Lights. You actually did a summer trip to the Norwegian coast. Yeah, you started in Bergen. You did a bit of your stuff of your own thing in Bergen. Headed down to Oslo. Got on a ship. You were on Oceania Marina, but lots of. And I'm cheating. I'm on Oceania Vista. It looks like right here. So, but that's just between us girls. And did a whole bunch of ports in the Norwegian coast, and then ended in London. So let's start, because lots of our clients go in and out of Bergen. So I'd like your impressions just to start on. I'm imagining it's not a very big town. How's the airport? And because I've not been there, so give us the skinny on Bergen to start.
Okay. Bergen Airport is stunning. It was redone in 2017. It is just a beautiful airport, not huge, not overwhelming, not in Amsterdam or anything.
Yeah.
So we flew in, and it was probably a 15-minute cab ride. We were staying in the downtown area. Now, one thing that really quite shocked me, that 15-minute cab ride was $75 US. There's nothing inexpensive in Bergen, but
Norway
you could, or in all of Norway, period.
Yeah. You mentioned downtown Bergen. I'm guessing downtown Bergen is not a sprawl. It's not like going to Manhattan.
No, not at all. Not at all. It might be bigger than what you think, because all of the pictures we see are of the UNESCO site.
Yes.
And that's that beautiful street, and there's a gorgeous market around there. But there is a downtown proper. There's some business buildings, and it's not huge. We could very much walk around the city. In fact, that's all we did. And we could probably go from one end to the other walking in about an hour.
Awesome.
Sort of thing. So a bit bigger than you're probably thinking.
Folks that are boarding a ship in Bergen itself, and there are lots, do you walk right from the downtown, or I guess they call it the city center in Europe, the city center? Do you walk from there to the cruise ship terminal, or do you have to take it?
Absolutely.
It's close.
So close. That's what really excited me. So the Heritage Street, the UNESCO Street, I should say.
Yeah.
If you are at the end of that, all those beautiful pastel-y buildings, if you're at the end of that, the cruise ships are about 5-minute walk from there. Right. So it is perfect. So very, very easy to go back and forth from your cruise ship to go enjoy that beautiful, stunning street.
And if you're packed appropriately and you got good wheels in your luggage, you might not even need a taxi to get to the cruise port.
Exactly.
Cool.
Exactly.
Cool.
Yeah.
So how many days for folks that are maybe looking at doing, either they're getting on a ship in Bergen, or maybe they're doing what you're doing, you're getting on a ship on the other side of Norway. How long do people need to really experience Bergen? Is a couple of days good enough? Do they need a week? Do they need a month? What's best?
You know, we were there for 2 full days. So we had 3 nights, 2 full days. I happen to love Bergen so much. I would have stayed another day. But I think 2 days is very sufficient to really get the gist of the whole city.
Cool.
So 2 days I would recommend.
Any particular sort of packing tips or anything if you're going specifically to Bergen? Because we've heard about weather on the Norwegian coast.
Yeah, yeah. So I went in July, at the end of July, and all of Norway really, the average they do their temperatures in Celsius. So in summer, the average is 13 to 18 degrees Celsius, or what is that,
What,
57-ish,
yeah, 55 to
55.
65 maybe. Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a video, and this is so typical Bergen. Um, it was a decent day, and then all of a sudden it just started pouring, and it pours for 15 minutes, and then it clears up to be cloudy.
Yeah.
Bergen is the rainiest city in the world.
All right.
So the biggest thing is, of course, the cruise ships are going to have umbrellas for you. But if you're
Yeah.
going to go maybe the hotels do, maybe they don't. I found the best thing that I packed was a rain poncho that packed up to about that size.
Yep.
That came out a dozen times on my whole trip. Bergen, a dozen times a day, it was almost like.
Yep. Yeah, you know what? It's a good point because when I've learned this lesson the hard way myself more than once at different locations around the world, even where you don't expect it to rain, perhaps. And I've decided that the best real estate in my luggage that I spend is rain gear. And maybe you don't even need it, and that's fine. I'm happy to come home if I never had to use it. Then thumbs up all the way around. But rain gear, a good rain gear is a necessity when you're packing, particularly if you're in Northern Europe. And Norway is only the best example of that.
Yeah. Yes,
Cool.
exactly.
So then you moved on.
Mhm.
You again moving. So you did your couple of days in Bergen, and then you made the trek towards Oslo. Now we got lots of questions about this because people have heard of the Flam Railway. So is that
Yes,
and it seems to me that you and your husband did that, if I've got this right.
you have it right. I actually went through Viator,
Yeah.
and I went and we did what they call a self-guided tour.
Yep.
So we got on a boat. The boat line is right in Bergen, and it's called Norled.
Yes.
And we got on the Norled ship at 8 a.m. and there were 240 passengers. Absolutely comfortable, beautiful seats. They have restaurants. They have a restaurant, a bar there. Comfortable seats with Wi-Fi. It was
Cool.
a 5.5 hour journey to Flam. But I
Okay.
have to say, this whole trip that I did was a very long, full day journey.
Yeah.
I don't regret it for a second. We saw so much of Norway by doing it this way. So we're 5.5 hours on the boat.
Yeah.
Then we get off at Flam. We have an opportunity to have lunch at Flam. We do a little hike up to the mountaintop.
Yeah.
And then we get on the famous railway. Flam is a place, it's very, very quaint. And you're going to hear quaint. A lot of the towns that we went to are quaint. You're going to hear it lots.
Awesome.
Flam is really quaint, but you could just spend a day there. And I don't even think I would do an overnight.
Yes.
But getting onto the Flam Railway was
Yeah.
absolutely spectacular.
Cool.
That Flam Railway, so we took the railway to a place called Mydrell, and
Yes.
from Mydrell we went to Oslo. But the Flam Railway, they stopped two different places. One was the most stunning waterfall. It was really, really beautiful. It's as beautiful as everybody says it is. Very crowded.
Yeah.
Seats aren't comfortable, but the view is spectacular. It's something that if you're in that neck of the woods, you can't miss. Cannot miss.
So how long are you on the railway? So you get on in Flam, and then you, as you say, you make a couple of stops, and then you finish. Sorry, what's the name of the town you said you finish in?
Mydrell.
Okay.
Mydrell we finished in. Yeah.
So how long's that journey?
That it was only about an hour and 15 minutes. And
Oh,
that's
okay.
with two of our stops.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. So
yeah.
it's almost like a carnival ride as opposed to a train journey. So now you're in Mydrell, and you get yourself from there down to Oslo. You do this all in one day. Sounds like a long day, but you do it in one day. Is that what's happening?
That's exactly what happened. If I can go back to, a lot of people will do the Flam. They go the one way and then come back the other. If you
Okay.
sit on another side, it's like a different journey. So it could be a 2.5 hour trip. But
Okay.
what our self-guided tour, we caught another train 15 minutes after arriving in Mydral, and Mydral literally is a train station
Yeah.
in the mountains, and that's all that they've got a concession and that kind of stuff, but that's all you get. Then we
Cool.
get on the train, and believe it or not, it is another 5 hours to Oslo.
Wow.
My husband does not like traveling this way, but I thought, oh, we'll be able to close our eyes because it's been a long travel. You
Yes.
couldn't. The views are stunning.
Yeah.
It was the most incredible journey.
Okay. Pack yourself some Red Bull
Yeah,
because you got to stay awake. So
exactly.
cool.
So yes, then we end up in Oslo.
Awesome. So when you get to Oslo, Oslo's a fair-sized city. I'm assuming that this train would drop you off
Mhm.
at their central train hub, or how does that work?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And their central train hub is right smack dab in the
Yeah.
center of the city. The train is probably about, I don't know, a 5 minute walk from the Opera House, which, as everybody probably knows in Oslo, that's sort of the center of the kind of touristy area.
Oh, okay. Cool. All right. So
Yeah.
now you're in Oslo. You're going to pick up a boat there, and we'll talk more about that in just a minute. But so how long did you spend in Oslo, and how long do you think people need in Oslo?
We had 5 nights.
Wow.
So yeah, we got in late.
Yes.
So really, we had 4 solid days.
Yep.
I think our consensus between my husband and I that 3 probably would have been sufficient.
Sure.
The one thing when we do travel, we do like to really immerse ourselves in the culture, and we always find that on a bigger city, 4 days is what we like. But I think with Oslo, I felt that we could have done 3 full days, and that would have been perfect.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the other thing, just for folks that are watching, is that when you or me or people that are in the travel biz are traveling, we have extra tasks that we get to do when we visit
Yeah.
these places because we're collecting information for our clients too. So it's not surprising to me you had to spend a bit more time just to get a feel for the place. So
Yeah.
also, any impressions about Oslo? Because I've actually never been there, which is surprising because it's a pretty major place, but I've not been to Oslo. So any impressions,
Yeah.
any sort of things that stuck out to you about this place?
Absolutely. It's old meets new. There's
Hmm.
old town and there's lots of new town. They've got a waterfront that is it's probably part of the newer part of the city. It is just absolutely stunning. You can walk for probably 3 or 4 miles, and they've done different restaurants and bars and shops, and it's really cool. There's some really high end hotels there. In the older area, the downtown, this blew me away. We decided to rent scooters for one day, and we rented them for the whole day because we thought this is a great way to see the town.
For sure.
Prior, we didn't notice it until about 15 minutes into the scooter ride. We're going, there are no cars downtown. There's no cars.
Hmm.
And then we stopped for a coffee and we Googled, why are there no cars downtown? Well, cars are allowed in Oslo,
Yes.
but they pay something like $100 an hour to park there. So they dissuade people. So it is a
That'll do it.
very walkable, it's a beautiful city to scooter. You feel safe. They've got bike paths, I should say.
Yep.
Yeah, it's really, truly, it's amazing. The one thing that sticks out the most too. So I like a glass of wine now and
No,
then,
no.
and probably the least expensive glass of wine I had was 24 US dollars.
Wow. Okay. So let's chat a
It's
little bit. You mentioned that earlier about, and this is not a big shock. We know that Northern Europe is expensive.
Yeah,
So, especially for us, coming from the US, the stuff just costs more. So hopefully you got your head around that before you go. I'd like to know more about, so the Norway's not in, well, they're part of Europe, but they don't use the euro. So they have their own
right.
currency called the Norwegian kroner. So how did you
Right.
generally pay for stuff? Did you have to go get a bunch of currency before you got there, or what's the best way to pay for, and you will be paying the best way to
Yeah.
pay for stuff once you're on the ground in Norway?
We had brought some kroner
Yeah.
with us, as we always do, just a little bit. We went home with it.
Yeah.
There is not a place that does not accept credit cards, and they prefer credit cards.
Okay. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely everywhere. So I think we had probably the equivalent to 200 US
Yeah.
chrono, and I think I came home with 180 of it.
Right.
So everybody takes credit card. And on that note, I found it interesting. Norway does not, tipping gratuities are not really accepted. The locals will not pay.
Right.
We found in the touristy places, the odd time a tip would pop up, and it started at 5%, unlike us at 18 and 20 and 24% now.
Yeah.
It started at 5%. And I asked one staff member, I said, does this go to you? And she goes, no, it goes to the house. So absolutely, you don't have to pay tips, and they
Yeah.
will not be upset if you do not tip there.
That's good to
Yeah.
know, because it's difficult for us to get our heads around that, because tipping culture is such a big part of what we do here. But again, one of the reasons, of course, that these countries are expensive for us is that they pay everybody a living wage. So anyway, that's a story for a different day. But so we'll transition to on the ship now. But I should predicate this by saying that you and I are going to go through. We're going to talk about your ports of call and all the stuff you did on the ship.
Yeah.
Neither you or I speak Norwegian, so even though you have a Norwegian last name, so we are going to butcher the hell out of some of the names of these small places in Norway. So I apologize in advance, because I don't know how to say them, and we'll just do our best. All right, so you're in downtown Oslo now. You need to get yourself to the cruise ship port. So again, you're boarding Oceania Marina. How far is the cruise ship port from the city center?
There's two places that it could possibly be at.
Yes.
One is a 5-minute cab ride, and the other is a 10-minute cab ride.
Okay.
And we were on the 10-minute cab ride. So pretty close to everything.
Awesome. Okay, so that's good to know. So that's a good tip for people to remember is that don't just assume you're going to the cruise ship port in Oslo, but know where your ship is actually berthed, because it'd be a real drag
Yes.
to show up at the wrong one, even though it sounds like they're fairly close together. So,
Yeah.
okay, so we are going to, I'll do a completely different video about Oceania Marina. So we're not going to talk a lot about the ship. We're going to talk in this video more about the ports of call. But for folks that are interested in Oceania Marina, so first of all, if you're interested in Oceania, we have a number of video. We have a whole Oceania playlist on our YouTube channel. Pardon me, I will get a Oceania Marina ship tour video popped up at some point or other. But this one's about the itinerary. So you get on board in Oslo. Many people that are boarding in Oslo will just fly to Oslo. And again, I think you've given us a good idea that a couple of days is not necessarily a bad thing. Do you happen to know how far the airport is out of town? Or?
Yeah, it's about 40 minutes out of town. So
Okay.
that's a $115 US charge. There is, again, a train.
Right.
That would be a 25-minute train ride. It's a quick train, but and it's quite a bit less expensive, but
Okay.
it is a ways out of town.
Good to know. Okay, so you're on board the ship. You're on board Marina. She's lovely. What's your first port of call?
It was Kristiansand.
Not to be confused with Kristiansand.
Kristiansand.
Right.
We went to both, so this is that's why. I got a
with an A.
there.
Kristiansand.
Yes.
Okay.
Kristiansand. This is the 5th largest city in Norway.
Okay.
It was settled in 400 AD.
Wow.
It's again, here's my word, quaint. There's tons of parks, there's tons of pastel houses, and this is where the locals all go to summer holiday.
Oh,
so
really?
They have beautiful beaches there. It's absolutely stunning. And they have a waterfront that has just in the last 4 years been converted. It used to be a dump, their waterfront. And now it is a beautiful waterfront with gorgeous condos that are overlooking the ocean.
Wow.
I really loved it. And you know what we opted to do here? And it was the best choice I think we made. We did an electric bike tour. Awesome. And it was a guided tour. And we were gone for about 3.5 hours. We saw the entire little city.
Awesome.
We went up to the park. They have a beautiful zoo. They've got just gorgeous parks. They've got one of the oldest churches in all of Norway. And yeah, it was beautiful. It was a lovely stop. And everything is very close to downtown.
Awesome. Downtown being
Yeah.
a relative term here. Again, it's not Manhattan or London,
Yeah.
so very good.
No, not at all.
So your next port of call, I'm gonna have a hard time saying. Is it Hogesund or what? How do I say that one?
Hogesund, you
Okay,
got it. I think you're right.
not
What I
bad for a
was
guy that
calling it
really only
anyway.
speaks English and bad French. So
So southwest Norway,
okay,
the fjords flow in and out of the North Sea.
yeah,
Really, really big, strong Viking heritage in this place. It was really cool. Yeah. So here
yeah.
we did a rib safari. This was quite a popular excursion. And what a rib safari is, you get on one of those big, solid rubber boats,
Ah,
and with a big motor, and just going in through all the different little islands. We felt very blessed. One of the guests on the boat was a gentleman that lived. He was the fifth generation that lived on one of these little islands that you can only access by boat.
cool.
So we went up to his island. There's 70 people that live on his island,
Yeah,
and all the neighbors were waving. His wife was throwing him some cookies to share with all of us.
nice.
And then we went to another little town,
Yeah,
another little island, and there was 100 people on this island, and a doctor, two school teachers, and a librarian. They basically kind of run the whole little community, but again, boat access only. So it
wow.
was just a really cool trip.
Yeah,
And there was quite a few water trips offered, and most people did do something like this, just
yeah.
because there's so many little nooks and crannies and islands and everything you can see around there.
So now we're on to another
Mhm.
Sund, I think. We went from Hagasund to what's our next Sund?
Alsland,
Okay,
Alsland.
okay. And what's
Okay.
there?
Besides Bergen, I think you mostly are going to see Osland photos.
Okay.
It's a stunning little city. It's got a mountain top that you can either walk. It's like
Yeah,
500 steps. It's a big walk, but it's a panoramic scenic view. And most of the pictures, and I'm sure we'll have some on this video,
yeah,
show from up there. We did a hop on, hop off bus, and went around the whole entire city.
yeah.
Then we walked up to the top and saw the panorama, and then we went downtown and had lunch and everything. Downtown kind of reminded me of a little Venice. There's all these
Cool.
buildings that are on the water, and it's just it's absolutely breathtaking. This is such a beautiful city.
Awesome.
A fire destroyed it in 1904, so all of the houses now they're all painted in pastels, and they set the tone as to who is painting what house. So
Yeah,
it's picture perfect. It's absolutely
cool.
picture perfect. So that is a city I wouldn't necessarily need to do an excursion on. Just get on those hop on, hop off, take a tour around, and
Yeah.
just see everything, because it was truly unique. Truly
And
unique.
and is the ship docked right in can you walk off the
Right
ship and
in.
into the town? Oh, perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Pretty much everywhere where we were, with the exception of one, we just had a little quick bus ride, but pretty much everywhere is just docked right in the city, which
Awesome.
is so good.
Okay, sounds like your first port of call, but the next one is Kristiansund with a U this time, yeah?
You got it.
Okay.
Thund, I got it. This is on the west coast of Norway. Kristiansund was very, very tiny.
Yeah.
We actually took advantage. We just decided to walk the little city. The one unique thing about it is local artists have gone and they have put murals on 50 of the buildings. So it was really
Oh,
neat. I went around and that's what we did. We were on a scavenger hunt to find the 50 murals. But you could, if you weren't on a scavenger hunt for murals,
yeah.
you could probably walk the entire city in an hour.
Cool.
So yeah, it was a nice stop, and we just took advantage and went back and read our book. That's
All
the
right.
way to do it.
I'm looking at your next port, and I'm not even going to attempt to say that word. So you tell us what it is.
Nordfjord.
Say it again.
Nordfjord.
Njord.
Nordfjord.
Sounds like the guy from IKEA, which I guess the Norwegians probably wouldn't like me confusing them with some Swede, but nevertheless,
Yeah.
Norwegian word or whatever it's called. So,
Yeah.
what'd you do here?
Okay. This is the northernmost region of Norway. So we start this city, very small, has huge Viking heritage. In fact, they reconstructed one of the biggest Viking ships that ever been found in this city.
Cool.
And they've kept the green space where it was actually found, and then they rebuilt it. It is so incredible. This was huge, but so it was a Viking burial ground.
Yeah.
The artifacts that they found in the city were incredible. So there's not much else to do there. So from that museum, we went on and we went to go through fjords and stopped at a couple different towns, and we saw the second largest fjord in all of Norway, and it's 106 kilometers long.
Wow.
The water
like
is
70 miles.
Emerald green, stunning. It's like, and you could see the clouds in the water and the mountain in the water. The experience was amazing. And our bus driver was incredible. We would stop at various viewpoints and get out and just take pictures of this incredible fjord.
Cool.
And then we stopped along a couple different cities. We went into a little town and had lunch. They had, of course, a lot of salmon on this trip. But it's an amazing experience. And they gave us some time to walk around the city. And I don't think I've mentioned to you that we did not dress warm enough for this trip. So this was finally when we broke down and went, you know what, we are going to buy ourselves something.
So there you have, you've got your second warning that the Norwegian coast may or may not be warm in the summer months. So, all right. So our next port of call is, I might be able to say this one. It's Malloy.
Yeah. It's just a small coastal town. There's about 3,000 people.
Yeah.
Not much in the city. This is another one where I would probably say do some kind of tour, because the city proper you could probably walk it in an hour.
You're right.
At the most. So this is where you want to jump on and take a look around but do maybe an excursion.
And that is, you've got a couple more ports of call, but that's the last of them in Norway, if I've read your itinerary correctly.
You got it.
Okay.
You got it.
So to sum it up, dress warmly, take layers with you because it might be colder than you think. Definitely have rain gear.
Yeah.
Lots of towns of varying sizes. Your suggestion, I think, is a great one. Is that the smaller the port, the more closely you should consider taking an organized excursion. The larger the port, you might be able to fend for yourself. Easy to pay for stuff anywhere in Norway. You don't necessarily need to take a bag full of kroners to be able to do that. So like most Norwegian cruises, you did a touch point in the UK and then disembark. So your next, I know how to say this one, it's Kirkwall, Scotland is the next one. Yes. So how did that appear to you?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's in the Orkney Islands.
Yes.
And you pull up to this. It's the largest island in the Orkneys. I don't think there's a tree. There's not a tree because of the weather. There's not a tree on the island.
Yeah.
Really, really cute little town. I think it was one of my husband's favorite because we got to do a Highland Park Scotch tasting.
Oh, cool.
Which was truly, truly incredible.
Yeah.
Just going to the distillery, and this is, I don't know, 8th, 9th, 10th generation. I can't remember. It's been around for a very, very long time. So we got to see how they make the varying brands of their scotches in the different casks and how they get the casks. And of course, most scotches are made in oak, and because there's not a tree on the island, they actually have purchased an oak farm. And yeah, it was really interesting. Very, very blistery cold. It was cold that day, and I think it always is. I think the summer, the all-time high is 23 degrees. 23
Yeah,
degrees Celsius.
that'd be
Yes.
75-ish,
Okay.
somewhere around
That's
there. I
their
don't have my
record high
conversion chart,
ever.
but wow,
Yeah.
ever.
And sorry, they do everything by Celsius. So
Yeah,
my notes are telling me that.
like
But
the
that
rest of the
is the
world, that's
all-time
all
record
cool.
high.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
All-time high.
Awesome.
And we were there, so that was the beginning of August, and I had to have 3 sweatshirts on. It was really quite crazy. Cute little town, very known for arts and crafts, and lots of jewelers. And
Yeah.
apparently, the most popular ice cream comes from Kirkland, and it serves all of the UK.
Oh,
Or
wow.
Kirkwall, excuse me.
Kirkwall, yeah. Kirkland is the Costco house
Kirkland
brand.
is, and I don't like their ice cream.
Yeah, there you go. This is Kirkwall, Scotland. So very good. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you finished up your cruise. You finished in London. We're not going to talk a whole lot about that. We've got if people want more information. Did your boat finish in Southampton on Marina?
Yeah, we finished
Okay.
in Southampton, which is 2 hours, two and
Right.
a half hours to London. So
Well, thank you for this, Kim. It's certainly helped me a lot, not having been to the Norwegian coast, and I think folks that are watching like your observations about what you were able to do in each port, and there's some great tips in there as well. And I will remind people that if you want to book a cruise to the Norwegian coast, whether it be with Oceania or one of the other cruise lines, small ship cruise lines, river cruise lines, expedition cruise lines, we do all that stuff. We know the destinations. We know as you've learned in this video, we know the destinations very well. We know the products very well because we travel on them. So you were on Oceania this time. So we know this stuff very, very well, and we can always get you something that you can't get on a direct booking. So give us a call. Our contact information is in the notes below. When you call us, you'll most likely end up talking to either Kim or me because we are a mom and pop type shop. So, Sue runs the whole thing, but it's usually Kim and I that you end up talking to. So thanks for your time, Kim. This was incredibly informative and very helpful. Thank you.
you're welcome. Thank you.